when the discoveries of writing of clay tablets in Mesopotamia reached the stage where the writing could be deciphered and read and understood, it dawned on the scholars more than a century ago that the biblical tales of Genesis, of the creation of what is called the heaven and the earth, of what is really a course of evolution, how life began on earth, how the dry land separated from the oceans and life began. That the story of how the Adam, which literally means the earthling, not Adam, but the Adam, was created. That the reference to some deity, again, the term used is plural, Elohim, says, let us make the Adam in our image and after our likeness. And again, the plural is used all the time. That the story of the deluge and the story of the Garden of Eden and of the Tower of Babel, that all these tales are really, in the Bible, in the book of Genesis, are really abbreviated, even edited versions of much longer tales written down for the first time in a country, in a land called Sumer, in the correct spelling and pronunciation, Shumer, which meant land of the guardians, in southern Mesopotamia, which is today's Iraq. And it was realized that a civilization, the first known civilization, a very high civilization, had suddenly blossomed out in that area. And the scholars use words to the effect that suddenly, unexpectedly, out of nowhere, and so on and so forth, there's blossomed out a civilization that really had everything that we would consider a prerequisite or a symbol or an aspect of a high modern civilization. And in this sheet, which I think most of you have, rather than show slides, I've reproduced some of the illustrations of actual archaeological artifacts discovered and of actual ancient pictorial depictions. And the one marked A is that of a Sumerian lady, and that takes us back almost 5,000 years. And you can see her elegant dress, her demeanor, her nobility, if you want, and I am sure she could compete in dress and demeanor with any elegant lady today, and that is 5,000 years ago. The one marked B is of another Sumerian lady, and I chose it to show the elaborate hairdo. And if we could go back again some 5,000-6,000 years, I'm sure many of the ladies here would want to know the name of her hairdresser. Illustration C is, for some reason, tilted, because if you turn it this way, it really depicts, it's part of a scene of a medical scene where a group of medicine men surrounds a patient. The patient lies on a table and wears a mask and is clearly treated with some kind of radiation. And again, this is from thousands and thousands of years ago. the Sumerians can be credited with virtually every first in human civilization that we can think of, whether it's the use of the wheel, whether it's high-rise construction, whether it's the use of the brick. The Sumerians can be credited with virtually every first in human civilization that we can think of, whether it's the use of the wheel, whether it's high-rise construction, whether it's the use of the brick, whether it's metallurgy, whether it's knowledge of chemistry, medicine we have covered, whether it's the concept of laws, the concept of courts, of justices, even of juries, the concept of a king, of a parliament, or an advisory council. Anything you can think of, any aspect of a high civilization, had its first in Sumer, going back, as I said, 6,000 years ago. Mathematics, the beginning or the first calendar. As a matter of fact, as I don't necessarily mention it in the books, but in some articles, the concept of a calendar, of a year divided into 12 months, of a lunar month, of a solar year, not only goes back to Sumer, but one calendar still in use, and that's the Hebrew calendar, is exactly the Sumerian calendar, and the count of years in the Hebrew calendar goes back to the year one of the Sumerian calendar, so that is still in use today. So all these aspects of a high civilization began in Sumer, again suddenly, unexpectedly, out of nowhere.
Exactly, but that's what Sitchin says in his book. So they had their teachers. So Sitchin says that about astronomical knowledge of the Sumerians, there must have been a teacher who has explained this all to them.
Yes.
Because they knew about all the planets in this solar system.
Yes.
And you know what is more than this, from the point of view of the Anunnaki, when they come in to our solar system, because
Who are the Anunnaki?
the Anunnaki Nephilim.
They are the Nephilim that the Bible talks about.
Yeah, the Nephilim.
The sons of God, mysteriously mentioned in the book of Genesis.
Yeah.
And the sons of God took the daughters of men as wives. And Elohim was so unhappy about that. We'll talk about that soon.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay? So, continue. What were you saying?
You were asking me about the Anunnaki, and then I have a little anecdote about Zecharia Sitchin. So he...
What? But just the Anunnaki are the beings, the creator gods from Nibiru, this planet that comes and goes. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Nibiru means the planet of the crossing.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
And when this planet becomes more and more visible, then you will see a cross. Because of the light, you know?
Okay.
You will see a cross there.
That's the symbol.
Yeah, that's the symbol. And if you look at the... you find this cross everywhere, you know? The cross, the plus and the minus.
Okay.
Yeah, you find it everywhere. And the Celts, you know the cross of the Celts?
Yes, the Celtic cross.
So the Celts had also knowledge about the 10th planet.
Yes.
Because of the cross, you know, they knew it. And now Sitchin,
Sitchin was able to read the Sumerian tablets.
Yeah.
He was one of 5 experts in the
Absolutely.
world at one time. Now maybe there are 200.
Yeah, maybe.
But he was one of the greatest experts, the very top level of experts on what's written down in the Sumerian tablets.
Yeah.
And it's filled with visitors, about stories about visitors from this 10th planet, Nibiru. Is that correct?
Yes. Exactly. And where Sitchin's drive came from to know about the Nephilim, because the Nephilim, you find that in the Old Testament.
That's a biblical phrase.
Yeah, it's a biblical phrase.
And it says that it talks about these Elohim beings, these creator God beings, and they were called the Nephilim, which means those who will come down from heaven to earth.
Yes, they fell down from heaven to earth.
They fell down, yes.
Yeah, they were cast down to earth, you know, if you say it in English.
Or fell.
Cast down.
Or fell, yes.
Yeah, or fell. And this is a very interesting part of our conversation right now, because first we go to the youth of Zecharia Sitchin. So he was born in Russia. Then when he was still a young child, with his parents, they went to Tel Aviv.
Yes.
And there he went to school. And then the lesson about the Torah and so on, then in the Old Testament, then the teacher said, he was talking about the Nephilim. And he translated the word Nephilim wrongly into giants.
Okay.
And that is not what it means.
It's not what it means. I
No.
know what it means.
And Sitchin, just a young boy, he said, "Sir, doesn't that mean they who fell from the sky to the earth?"
It means the ones who are falling.
Yeah.
Lipal, it comes from the root lipal, which means to fall.
To fall, yeah.
Means literally to fall.
To fall.
It doesn't mean giants.
So then he was told to shut up.
Yes, he was.
And so he told me.
Don't question the Bible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then
But he wasn't questioning the Bible.
No.
He was translating
rightly.
a definition which was incorrect.
Yeah.
An incorrect translation or definition of a word.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yes.
And he said to me in Amsterdam in March 2000, he said to me after the show, you know, he said, "Guido, you did a wonderful job here. I never had an interviewer or a journalist who were asking this kind of question because they don't know about it."
Yes.
He said, when this was told to me to shut up, he thought, okay, now I'm going to study this. And that's where it's interesting.
As a young boy.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's
that
right.
was the beginning of it all.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Anunnaki are the beings on this planet of the crossing.
Yeah.
Which means Nibiru.
Nibiru. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they are now the Bible, okay?
Yeah, the Bible. Yeah.
The Bible, I mentioned it before.
Yeah.
Anybody could look in their book of Genesis.
Yeah.
And it will say that the sons of God married the daughters of men.
Yeah, exactly.
And God was very angry.
Yeah.
It doesn't. The exact phraseology of that last part, I don't know exactly, but exactly I do know the sons of God married the daughters of men.
Yeah.
What is that all about?
Okay, that's okay. Now you know Yahweh. He didn't like that, you know.
Yes, that's the story.
Yeah, Yahweh. He didn't want the Nephilim to marry young earthly women, because he didn't want their DNA to be mixed in a very powerful way. He didn't want that.
Okay.
And so.
So who is he?
Yahweh.
Yeah.
Yahweh is okay. Now, if you go to the beginning of what is told about the Anunnaki and Nephilim, to the beginning in the Sumerian clay tablets,
Yes.
then you find there two brothers, half brothers,
Yes.
and this one brother is called Enki, and he came about 450,000 years ago as the commander of their trip from Nibiru to this planet,
He was like a colonizer.
Yeah, he was like a colonizer, exactly.
50,000 years ago.
450.
400 now.
450,000 years ago.
They obviously they live a long, long time.
Yeah, and
he may still be alive and well. Is that?
I think now he should be somewhere 120 years old. So.
I mean, but it's kind of complicated. You see, is it not like this? In the time that our Earth goes around the sun, 1 year for us is like 1 day for the people from this 10th planet, Nibiru. Is that right? You could say that. Not even.
Something like it. So they travel in 3,600 of our years. They make one round,
1 year is 3,600
Yeah,
years.
for us, 1 year of them, for us is 3,600 years. That's why they can appear to us as living forever, eternal, because they seem, from our point of view, never to die. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and so Enki came over here, but
450,000 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
According to Sitchin and others,
Well, that's way before the Sumerians. Wow.
Yeah, that's way before the Sumerians.
Yeah, wow.
Because the Sumerians have been granted civilization, about 5,000, 6,000 years ago.
Well, there have been different. Haven't there been different civilizations? I mean, before Sumeria wasn't there Atlantis? Before Atlantis, maybe there was Lemuria. I mean,
yeah.
Okay.
But I think it is possible that the Earth has been visited by many ET. If you know,
I'm sure of it.
Yeah, if you know that there is, I don't know exactly how many years ago, but I think it is found in the United States, fossilized, a hammer, which is something like 40 million years old.
That these things are covered up. All of the time they're finding archaeological complete anomalies to the accepted version of history. It happens a lot, and it's usually covered up. Covered up for a number of reasons.
Yeah.
People don't want to be laughed at for a number of reasons. Okay. So the Enki came 450,000 years ago. This is the story in the Sumerian tablets.
Yeah.
Yes? Okay, but he had a brother. What about his brother?
A brother Enlil, he was rigid. He was a rigid man, He was very strict. And if you look at the character of Yahweh, if you look in the Torah and in the Old Testament, Yahweh did many very bad things to the Israeli people. And
well, you didn't want to make him angry. Let's put it that way, okay?
Yeah.
You wanted to stay on his good side. But aren't you confusing Enlil and Enki? My understanding was that Enki was the meaner of the brothers, and Enlil was the good guy.
No.
You sure?
The opposite. No, then
okay.
no. In no book of Sitchin and others.
Okay.
No, it was Enki who created us in their image.
But in the image of the Nibiru,
there was a fight between Enki and Enlil.
the two half-brothers.
Yeah, two half-brothers. Okay, Enki was the eldest.
Okay.
But then his brother was born out of a mother who was very close, to Anu, the father of both. And so, and the mother of Enki was not a well-known mother, she was more away from the royal line
Yes.
of birth. You see what I mean?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. Okay. Now, and because of the fact that Enlil was very close from the point of view of where they were, you know, you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So his mother was very close to the line of the royal line of Anu, the father.
In Nibiru.
Yeah, Nibiru, the ruler. So that's why was Enlil given. He was the ruler of the earth, and he was in power. You know, he was in power, and because of this, those two families, Enki, Enlil, from there you got many wars, even atomic war. So if you look at
Well, Zecharia Sitchin says that there was war between these
two.
friends. Let me just say this. I know this may sound totally crazy for you until you read Zecharia Sitchin. All of this about the brothers predates the Torah. It predates the Bible, the Old Testament. These are the ancient stories of the Sumerian people that are written down on the clay tablets. And if you read the stories in the clay tablets, you see an amazing similarity to some of the stories in the Old Testament.
Yeah.
So it's very clear, and some of the things in the book of Genesis are just little snippets, little clips.
Yeah.
The very short little, sort of out of context things, like the sons of God and the daughters of men. Zecharia said, if you read the book of Genesis,
Yes.
there are things that obviously belong to other manuscripts, other epics.
Yeah.
And only just a snippet, a little tiny part, makes its way into Genesis. But when you look at the Sumerian tablets, you see the whole story of the sons of God and the daughters of men,
Yeah.
and the war between the brothers. In the Old Testament, it says that Elohim, which is a plural word for God,
Yeah.
it's plural. Elohim was angry because of this intermarriage. Now, it doesn't make any real sense in Genesis. It's not explained. Why? Because it's just a snippet, a small piece of a larger story, which made its way into the Old Testament. Where is the larger story? According to Zecharia Sitchin, it's in the Sumerian clay tablets.
Yeah. And the Akkadian scriptures too.
And the Akkadian scriptures.
Yeah.
Okay. So they say there was this war in heaven.
Yeah. Yeah. You come back to Lucifer.
This war in heaven. We know it is the Lucifer's story, perhaps.
Yeah.
But the Sumerians say it was these two brothers from the two brothers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
From these two from the royal family of this 10th planet. It sounds.
But you know, there's another thing here. About 300,000 years ago, the word.
According to the Sumerian tablets.
Yeah, according to the Sumerian tablets.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, according to Sitchin and other researchers. But sometimes, you know,
Sitchin bases himself
yeah,
from the Sumerian tablets.
yeah,
But he also read other things.
of course.
He was also a Syriologist. He could read the writing of Assyria as well, not only Sumerian. He was able to read other ancient writings as
Yeah,
well.
absolutely, he did.
Yes.
He did.
So what happened 350,000 years
Okay,
ago?
300,000 years ago, according to the Sumerian clay tablets, in the Apsu, which is in South Africa, Enki, he was the ruler, you know, and he should have been the ruler of all of Earth, but he didn't give that. Has never been given this power.
Okay.
Anyway, the workers who came with them each trip, 50 workers came from Nibiru to the planet to work here. and they were working also in the mines, gold mines, in South Africa.
Why did they want gold?
Oh, okay, good question. Very good question. Because they needed gold to repair the holes in the ozone layer of their planet.
Nibiru.
Yeah, Nibiru. Some 4 years ago, I was reading in the LA Times in Los Angeles that some 3 scientists, and I don't know their names, maybe they can be found on the internet, that if we want to repair the holes in our ozone layer, we should use gold dust.
White powder. It's white gold.
Yeah,
Is that right?
gold
A
dust.
special type of white gold powder?
Yeah,
All
gold
right.
powder. And so that's exactly, then I thought, okay, this is what Sitchin says about
Yes.
in the Niburian, in the clay tablets, about the Anunnaki, what they did on their planets, you know?
Yes.
I thought, hey, this confirms, see?
It does. Yes, it
Yeah,
does.
and I think that's the power of Zecharia Sitchin. He read thousands and thousands and thousands of books. He got his knowledge from everywhere.
And from the tablets themselves.
Yes, and he could coordinate all this and think about it. So he says, you have opinions and you have facts. If I say it's an opinion, then it is not been proven. If I say it's a fact, then it has been proven.
Well, it's proven that it's in that these things are written about in the clay tablets.
Yeah,
It's not proven that it's true, but it's proven that this is in the tablets.
exactly, that has been written, exactly.
Yes.
But it is also logical.
But there are also proofs that see, like the gold dust in the ozone, what scientists are saying today. Do you know about a man named Michael Tellinger?
Yes, sounds familiar.
Okay, well, talking about proof, Michael Tellinger has discovered ancient stone circles, thousands of them in South Africa.
Yeah.
Okay? But really, really ancient stone circles that are much older than Stonehenge in England. And these things are over 100,000 years old, these stone circles. Stonehenge is said to be 5,000 years old.
Yeah.
So he says these are the remnants of the Anunnaki in South Africa, and there's a lot of it,
Yeah.
a lot of remnants. So this
Yeah.
is a proof. This is a proof. Also, exactly like Sitchin says,
Yeah.
he says they were active in South Africa, and they're finding a lot in South Africa. So, okay. So where do we go from here? You are saying, Sitchin is saying, according to the clay tablets, we are the creation of these beings. Okay, we are the children, the creation.
Absolutely.
But according to what I understand, it's not only the Nibiruans. There are other ET races also
I think so too.
that have had a lot to do with the creation
Yeah.
of human beings. Now, as I understand it, the beings from Sirius,
Yeah.
the beings from the Pleiades,
Yeah.
and the beings from Nibiru all had a lot to do with the creation of humanity. Is that what you have heard?
You know, yes. So maybe I just make another jump, you know?
Go ahead.
Another jump. I was sitting on the Greyhound on the 24th of May.
A bus.
A bus. Yeah, the Greyhound, the bus.
Yes.
One of those peculiar things what happened to me. I went on the Greyhound back to New York on the 24th, Christmas Eve,
Yes.
on the bus because all the planes were too expensive, you know. I couldn't
Yeah,
pay.
yeah, of
I
course.
couldn't pay for all that money,
And I owe you money
$2,000.
for a taxi.
Yeah,
Okay,
so,
yes. That's right, I heard you money.
so I was getting on the bus with all my luggage at 11 o'clock in the evening, and then some guy, his name was Joe, he helped me to get with my luggage on the bus, and then we were sitting next to each other. And I think a week before that, I was still in California, sitting on the bus from San Diego, a local bus,
Okay.
to LA somewhere, you know, a local bus, not a Greyhound. And then I was looking at a guy who was reading a book. I thought, hey, that's an interesting book. So I'm very interested in photographic memory.
Yes, okay.
And I invited in '94 a scientist from the United States to the Netherlands to give courses in photographic memory. You know, I organized all that in Amsterdam. So I was looking at that. I thought, oh, interesting book. You know what happened? He came to me. He said, I have to give this book to you.
Oh, how sweet.
Yeah. So all of a sudden I had a book
What was the book?
about photographic memory.
Okay.
Yeah, what I'm interested in.
But how does this connect to the E.T. story? How do you connect?
Everything.
How?
Because I have an exceptional memory.
Yes.
And to do a conversation like this and to talk with all those very well informed scientists, I need to collect all that information and have to do something with it.
Yes, you do.
Without the photographic memory, I'm not able to do anything.
Guido, you're 80 years old and you're amazing. You're amazing. Okay, but again, yes.
And then we go back to the Greyhound. You can still follow me.
Yes.
And then I was sitting next to Joe, and Joe came from California, from San Francisco. He was a singer, great singer.
Yes.
Also, and he did all kind of other stuff. Then we were talking. He just came from a workshop with Tibetan monks.
Okay.
And you know what those Tibetan monks told him?
What did they tell him?
They told him that very soon the people on this planet will be informed officially that we are not alone in the universe.
Amen.
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 And then you know what happened?
What happened?
Then Joe gave me a book. So
Okay.
4 weeks, 1 week earlier, I got a book on a bus, and now I got a second book.
Okay.
And this book is called, I have it at home, you know. Many of my friends read it. Dolphins into the Future.
Dolphins?
Dolphins, you know the fish?
Yes.
Dolphins.
They're not
Dolphins
fish, they're
are
mammals.
very evolved.
Mammals, not fish, yes.
They are they are not fish, they're mammals.
And they're connected to Sirius, are they not?
And they have a very high intelligence level.
Yes, it's well known.
Very high.
Yes.
And so he gave me that book. And he said, Guido, I have to give this book to you. So again, someone on the bus who gave me a book. So I read the book many times. You know what it says?
What does it say?
It says, and this is written by Joan Ocean. That's her name.
Famous, Joan Ocean. Yes.
Oh, you know Joan Ocean?
I know she is, yes.
Yeah, and you know, in the front of the book, I was reading. I started to read it immediately because Joe told me this is an important book for you to read, and so I was reading in the foreword that Joan was somewhere in Oregon in the bookstore, and with her boyfriend, and then her boyfriend he gave her a book on the dolphins, and he said, "Here, look, it's interesting." And she was having the book in her hands, and then he thought, I'm not interested in dolphins. So she put the book on the shelves, and then all of a sudden, and I'm familiar with this kind of thing,
I know.
all of a sudden, a certain tone happened. And the time stood still. So all the people, like a movie, was put still, you know, out of motion.
Yes.
She saw all the people there
Oh my God.
The movie did not continue.
Oh my God.
The movie which you were in. And she thought, am I the only one who sees this? She was wondering, you know, am I the only one to see this? And then, all of a sudden, everything moved again. See, time stood still.
Yes, it did.
And Sitchin is telling on this video, DVD, he's telling about time standing still. You will see it soon.
What is he saying? Is he saying that they have a technology that could make time seem to stay still?
No, let me finish this first, you know, because
All right.
this is to come to the point. To the point. Here's the point.
All right.
Of this story. Okay, and then we come to that. So, then, when everything was moving again, I thought, this is about the book. I need this book
Yes.
about dolphins. The
Yes.
book was gone. No more book.
Okay.
So the opportunity was gone.
And so she gets a new one.
She went, yes, so it was gone. She asked her boyfriend, do you know where the book is? No, the book was not there anymore. And then, so she went to the owner of the store, and he said, yeah, I have this book, and it should be there. And he went, yeah, there it was.
Okay.
But she didn't tell him that it had disappeared.
Okay.
Anyway, he ordered for her the book. She came home,
Yes.
and there was a letter from Dr. John Lilly.
Who's that?
Dr. John Lilly. He wrote several books.
Okay.
And he developed and constructed the isolation tank. You know what that is?
Yeah, I know what that is.
The water, you know, salt water.
Yeah, people have mystical experiences.
Yeah,
In
absolutely.
these tanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he says some very interesting and important things in his book. But first, let me complete this.
Yes.
Let me complete this. And so she was reading the letter from Dr. John Lilly, who lived then at Hawaii, and he invited her to come over to swim with dolphins.
Okay.
So she went over there, and she started to be very much being interested with dolphins. So now she knows all the dolphin pots all over the world.
Yes,
You see?
she channels the dolphins.
Yes.
And the whales. And the
Yes, she
and the
does.
beings from Sirius. And, yes.
And they come from Sirius,
Yes.
they come from Lyra in the Pleiadians. I think that's what she says
Okay.
in the book. And if you look at, I have Sitchin's book with me. If you look at a picture, and you will see it in my show, then we can just put it to a stop, you know, so everyone can see it. You see there, where you see this spaceship there, and you see the planets, you know, you see also in the bottom of this Sumerian clay tablet picture, you see, hello, hoi, how are you? You see also dolphin. You see two dolphins
Yes,
there.
yes.
So, and she says that the dolphins came from the planet Lyra, and I think, if this is really true, they came in a water bubble, in an ocean.
Well, how else would they have come? Or who knows? I don't know.
I don't know.
But wait a second. I want to say this. So wait a second. So there was a war between these two brothers.
Yeah.
According to the clay tablets.
Yeah.
And that's what the flood was all about. One of the flood,
Yeah.
the deluge.
Yeah.
That was what the flood was about. It was connected to one of the brothers wanting to wipe out humanity. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
There's Enlil, Yahweh.
Okay.
That's what the Old Testament says.
Well, it doesn't say that. It says Elohim. It doesn't say.
Oh, it says Elohim. But okay, now then, what I know about it from the Sumerian clay tablets and Sitchin and so on, is that like in the two cities, how are they called?
Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yeah, Sodom and Gomorrah. This was also a war but also part of the war between Enlil and Enki, you know, has to do.
Okay.
So those people in Sodom and Gomorrah were not really bad people. No, they didn't want to obey anymore to Mr. Enlil.
Okay.
You know,
Look.
and that's why he sent some angels with a nuclear device to blow the whole thing up. And the only one who wants to save was Lot and his wife.
Yes.
Okay?
Well, that is the story, that Lot and his wife were saved.
But Lot tried to save the whole city. And Mr. Yahweh or Mr. Enlil.
No, they don't say Yahweh. Nowhere in the Old Testament are these things blamed on Yud-Hey, Vav-Hey, Yahweh. Nowhere.
Oh.
They are called, there are different names of God used in the Bible, and people connect all of them. I don't believe, maybe Jehovah is connected to Sodom and Gomorrah, but he's not connected to, in the Bible, in the Old Testament, I think the phrase is Elohim was angry at the sons of God marrying the daughters of men. I don't think it says Yod-Heh, but Jehovah. Friends, read Sitchin for yourself and come to your. This is very hard stuff for a Jewish person to hear. For instance. And I'm not sure that you have it. I think you're confusing sometimes the phrase Elohim and Jehovah.
But Elohim is plural.
Elohim is plural.
Yahweh is one character.
That's correct. So you think. So we think. So anyway, I'm not sure. I think you're confusing those names.
Okay.
And I think it's all confused. I think Genesis is confusing stories from different epics. I think Genesis itself, like I said, contains snippets from longer sacred sagas. And I'm convinced of it, as was Sitchin, as I understand it. But I saw an interview with Kurt Von Daniken. Okay, you read *Chariots of the Gods*, correct?
Yeah.
So did I. When I was young, I read *Chariots of the Gods*. And on TV, they asked Sitchin if he believes it. If we are created by these ET races, the Nibiruans, the Pleiadians, the Syrians, if we are their creation, what about God?
Yeah.
Von Daniken also believed, or was a Catholic. He was brought up a Catholic, like you.
Yeah.
And he says, there's no contradiction. He said that he believes in God.
Yeah.
There's no contradiction between the idea that our race, humanity, was created by these great beings, and the disbelief in God.
Yeah.
If they created humanity, as far as I'm concerned, and Von Daniken is concerned, they were following the divine will. They were following God's will.
They're very religious people.
Well, there's no contradiction.
No.
So if you believe in these things, it doesn't mean that you have to stop believing in God.
No. No, not true. This is not true what you say.
What?
At the end of this book, I think, I almost know it all by heart, the book, The 12th Planet, Sitchin, who is a very religious soul, he says, what is mentioned in the Sumerian clay tablets, and what you can that proves the veracity of the Bible.
Okay.
That's what he says.
Yeah.
And I think at the end, and I have the book here, of course.
Yes. You're going to give a talk in our home tonight.
Yeah.
You're going to do a presentation.
Yes.
Are you there? I'm looking forward. I'm excited.
Yeah.
And what will your slides be? You're going to show. You're going to be showing slides.
No,
right?
no. I have the program, A Big Step in Our Revolution, and this is a saying from Mr. Alan Harnack in his book On the Edge of Reality. That's a classic, and he says at the end of his book in '77, and this book has been taken also by Steven Spielberg for his movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind. At the end of his book he says, once we solve the UFO problem, we make a big step in our revolution. That's what the evening
I'm
is
sure
about.
that's correct.
That's what it's all about.
And I'm sure that the cover-up is not justified. Maybe once in the 1950s it would have brought huge panic.
Yeah.
But now it's 2014, and I believe humanity is ready for the truth.
Yeah, exactly. But that's why you sit here. I'm sitting here, we're having this wonderful talk,
Yes.
and you know that this takes place in Jerusalem, or very close to Jerusalem. That's unique.
Well,
It is
it's
unique,
important, yes.
unique. And someone wanted this to be.
Well, I do believe in God.
Someone, yes.
I do believe in
Yeah,
God.
of course.
I believe that there is divine will, and
Yeah.
it is the divine will for people to receive the truth.
You know,
It's the time for the truth.
yeah, I make up one-liners for myself to try to understand what this is all about. So I was sitting at a dead volcano in the Eiffel Mountain in Germany, and then it was the beginning of spring some years ago, and then I looked through my eyebrows to the clouds. Then I saw a hairy cloud.
A what?
A hairy cloud.
Okay.
My eyebrows being projected on this cloud. So
Okay.
I saw a big cloud totally with hair on it, you know, because my
Okay.
own hair.
Yes.
And then I started to write a line,
Yes.
a one-liner, and which is a brush in my mind paints the here and now on an impeccable white light screen of pure consciousness, a spark of infinity from the highest principle. That's what we all are.
Yes, absolutely.
There's nothing more to say.
You know, one more thing. One more thing. I'm fascinated that you knew. I'm fascinated that you knew Dr. Alan J. Hynek.
I read his book.
Okay.
His book, the classic, On the Edge of Reality. That's what we're dealing with here, you know.
You know, friends, he was hired by the United States government
Yeah,
to do a phony investigation
yeah,
into UFOs.
yeah.
And he was not supposed to. He was supposed to make up excuses and say
Yeah.
they weren't real. The American government wanted him to lie.
Blue Book.
Yeah, well, the Blue Book has good things in it.
Yeah,
But they wanted him to lie, basically,
yeah,
and come and give the conclusion that there's nothing there. Instead, to his great credit, Alan J. Hynek came out with the truth. That,
yes, he did.
yes, he did. That ETs, it's a hugely common worldwide phenomenon, and it's very, very important. Okay, I thought you knew him.
Yeah, no, I would have loved to meet with him.
Yes.
But no, it never happened.
So he was this very courageous man who was hired to head a cover-up project, and instead decided to tell the truth. So, okay, how shall we conclude, Guido?
Yeah, maybe, you know, maybe with Dr. Hynek.
Well, how?
And I mentioned, I think, in my introduction, which I sent to you, I think I was mentioning Dr. Hynek too. And so Ezekiel, you know what Ezekiel saw in the desert?
Oh yeah, it sounds like an ET to me.
Near the river.
It sounds like a UFO to me.
Yeah, yeah. And
Also Isaiah, there are many references, many, okay, yes.
so Ezekiel, he is, according to the Torah and according to the Old Testament and Christianity, you know, in general, he is. You can see him as a religious person, you know, as a prophet.
Yes.
Okay. Now, and so I took this Ezekiel, I think, into my introduction and invitation,
Yes.
and I put him there, and I put him next to a quote from the book of Dr. Hynek on the Edge of Reality, because he describes there of a missionary
In New Guinea.
in New Guinea. So I put those things next to each other.
The two
But-
descriptions, yeah.
Yes, but this missionary never thought that God came down here, you know. He saw a
Flying saucer?
spacecraft.
Yeah.
You know, that's why I put them next to each other.
That's
So
it.
people can understand.
The two descriptions. And what they would understand is this is an ancient worldwide phenomenon.
Yeah.
Which is why cultures and peoples all over the world talk about it.
Yeah.
And so it's time we understood that we are not alone.
You know, it can bring all wars to an end.
It could. And also, there's a cover-up about technology.
Yeah.
The American government, as I understand it, has made deals and have received super technology. Super technology. We have the technology to end our dependence on petroleum.
Absolutely.
But there are yes,
This
indeed.
morning.
There are forces forces that be, and money forces
Money forces.
that have prevented this technology from coming out. I don't believe the reason the truth has been kept for us, the reason they've lied to us, is not because of their fear of how the world will react.
To do with money.
It has to do with money and power.
Absolutely.
And it's time to break that cycle. It's time for the truth. As Guido, I'm excited about tonight, and I thank you for coming. And
it makes me laugh that the show you see tonight, and the questions will come, that this show is in the Vatican. They know it there.
there's also cover-up. They know a lot.
Yes.
They know a lot of things.
They know everything.
What's in the Vatican exactly?
My show, A Big Step in Our Revolution, has been taken to the Vatican on the 19th of September in the year 2011 by Antoine Baudard, and he is a spokesman of the Vatican in the Netherlands. So he took my show over there.
Okay. He was a friend of yours, yes?
He's not a friend.
Okay.
Maybe he will ever be a friend, but he is a very well-known conservative priest.
Yes.
And when he saw my show for the first time...
Which was aired publicly in Holland.
Oh yeah, many times.
You've had many shows aired publicly.
Yes, and
about this subject of disease.
yeah, but this show is on the internet, seen by millions of people.
Okay. So, all right.
So,
Also, the Vatican is part of the cover-up.
yes, you know
I
that
am convinced.
the Vatican, they have a, how do you call that? They have a means outside the earth, you know. How do you call that? A telescope.
Yes.
Telescope,
They
and
have
they're looking at Nibiru.
Yes, they have their own observatory. Frank.
Yeah, they have
Isn't
one
that
in
interesting?
Oregon, and they have one near the Vatican, near the ocean.
Very, very interesting, isn't that?
Yeah,
Okay, Guido, it's been a real pleasure.
it's been a real pleasure also to talk with you. You have information I don't know, and you know the way this conversation like this goes is that it is mixing, you know, all the
Yes.
information mixes and mixes.
It's a weave.
And yeah, and then
It's a spontaneous.
it's like a spiral. You know,
Yes.
oh, there's where it goes.
Okay. And I recommend, friends, Guido has two wonderful interviews of the great scholar and researcher,
Yeah.
Zecharia Sitchin. He has 2 interviews with the great Zecharia Sitchin
You can find them on the internet.
on the YouTube, correct?
Yeah, on the YouTube, and the latest one was in 2009 on the 17th of February, Saturday, in Hollywood, in the Hilton Hotel.
Okay.
And there he is explaining about this book, The End of Days.
Yes.
It's a wonderful book.
I'm sure it's a wonderful book. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you
Guido.
again sometime.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.